Welcome to another in the series of tutorials on Structures Office. This tutorial is part one of a two-part series on integrating with Excel. We're going to cover just the basic setup. It's always been a design goal of Structures Office to integrate with the Microsoft Office suite and extend it. And in particular, with Excel, because it's been such a heavily used tool in structural analysis. What Structures Office brings to Excel is some very high quality analysis tools. They are fully programmable using Visual Basic within Excel in a high quality integrated development environment, which is very similar to Visual Studio in that it offers breakpoints, IntelliSense. It's a very nice environment. So what you're going to learn is something that's very powerful, it's very flexible. You can program anything you want within Excel, and it's well worth the effort to learn. Object linking and embedding, it's also been known as L.L.C, has been part of the Office suite for over 20 years. But in the past, it was slow, cumbersome, and not too many developers made use of it. But with these much faster machines, that's not true anymore. So I'm going to be using 2013 for this demo. But you'll see here will work with all versions of Excel. So that said, let's get started. So to begin with, when you bring up Excel, you're going to need to have this Developer tab displayed. If you don't see that, go to File, Options, customize the ribbon, and make sure this Developer tab has a check mark on it. Once that's done, go to the Developer tab, choose Visual Basic, and we need to tell the Visual Basic development environment about Structures Office. What are the objects within Structures Office? What are the methods, properties, so that you can make use of the IntelliSense. I'll explain that later. So go to Tools, go to References, and you need to find what is known as a type library. It's alphabetic, so go down to Structures Office, type library. This version is going to increase over time. Put a check mark on it. You can't just click on it. You got to get a check mark on that. Click OK. You might want to double check and make sure that's turned on. Then let's go back to Excel. The next thing we need to do is insert Structures Office into this document. So click on the Insert tab, go over here, click on Object, and you should find Structures Office cross-section document. We're going to be doing a section analysis here. So choose this, click OK, and then into the spreadsheet you'll see this Structures Office display. Notice that this hash mark on the outside, that means this particular object embedded in Excel is active. Notice that there's no Excel ribbon up here. If I click outside, now you see the Excel ribbon, and now if you want to go back in, now I'm going over into the Structures Office object, left click, right click, and choose Open. And now you see it running standalone mode. At this point you can create sections. So I could go in here and I could say, okay, I want a radius 1 disk, and let's exit and return to book 1. Now when I return from the a standalone version of Structures Office. Initially you don't see anything in the document, but if I activate it with a double click, you see that what I created appears. It's important to understand that if I do a save, and let's call this section creation. I already have one, but that's alright. Make sure that that is a macro enabled workbook. That's an L.L.C. And click save. Now let's get out of Excel and let's go back in and let's restore that file. And you see the object that we just created is in there. So now it has a disk inside that document. So what's important to understand is when you do a save inside of Excel, that Structures Office goes inside that file. So you can move that file anywhere you want, and as long as Structures Office is installed on whatever machine you move to, when you open that document, everything that was in that Structures Office object will be there. It's embedded in that file. So, to summarize, the first step is to get that Developer tab turned on. And that's done by going to the File, menu item, pick Options, and then customize the ribbon. And turn on that, put a check mark on that Developer option. The next step, you need to add a reference to Structures Office in Visual Basic so that Visual Basic understands the various object types and their methods and arguments to methods. And that's done by going to the Developer tab, clicking the Visual Basic button over on the left, and then click Tools and References and pick that Structures Office type library from the list. The third step is to insert the object into the Excel worksheet, and that's by going to the Insert tab, click Object, and then select the Structures Office cross-section document. And finally, you want to save it. Save what you just did as a macro-enabled workbook. That's a .xlsm suffix on there. So that's it in a nutshell. I hope you make use of this, and thank you very much.